It is Sunday, March 20th at 9:24 a.m. And I think most importantly, it is the day after the Holyoke St Patricks Day 10K, which was very impactful for me. And I really wanted to sort of try and articulate why. So I did not write this out because I thought it would be more real if I didn't. So we're going to give it a go. Yesterday, running a 10K, 6.2 miles, is something that a lot of people set out to do and something that I set out to do. It was actually the first goal that put me back onto my fitness journey. So, 4.5 years ago now, I was on vacation with some friends in Myrtle Beach. I was in the peak of my own thick phase. And one day while we were on vacation, they asked if I would go for a run with them. And I was like, I'm not a runner. I've never been a runner. I'm big and explosive. I'm a sprinter. I'm not a distance runner, but I was like, whatever, I'll go run with you guys. And I ended up doing some combination of sprinting and walking and jogging 6 miles with them. And I think it probably took 2 hours. And I was absolutely dead afterwards. And it was horrible, but it was also sort of fantastic. And they were like, you should do the St. Patrick's Day 10K with us. And I was like, oh, that sounds like something to train for. And I think in my ignorant monkey brain at the time, I was like, I can do well at that if I train for it for 3 or 4 months. So that was the first fitness event I committed to. So at the time I committed to it, I was probably about 250 to 260 pounds, and my big goal was to run a 10-minute mile, which is a good goal, but it wasn't even a goal that I ended up making. So I trained for that race poorly. I didn't know what I was doing. I would sort of just go out and run as fast as I could for as many miles as I could, which was not a lot. And one way or another, though, I ended up getting to the day, did the race, and finished in like an hour and 15 minutes, I want to say. But my main goal was finishing, so that's good. The other layer of that I don't think a lot of people know, and I don't know how you would, is that between the time that I signed up for that race and the time that race happened was when my life sort of came crashing in on itself. And I've told this story a few places, but I'll keep it short here. But I was supposed to go to a vacation in Florida with Mandy and woke up to go to the airport, and she was like, yeah, I'm not going with you. I don't feel safe with you, which I didn't understand at the time, but now I do. And so I ended up going to Florida by myself. My whole life felt very much upside down. I didn't understand what I'd been doing wrong. I thought that I was just, working hard and trying to build something. And maybe I could have been a little more present, but at the time, it just didn't make sense to me. And so I remember going to Florida, and I remember running in Florida with my buddy Jake, and I was still, there's a film photograph I have of myself from that trip that's just a selfie in a mirror, and I feel like I can see how conflicted and successful and high capacity and just unaware I am all at the same time. And so I got a little sunlight, so we're gonna do this. So when we got home from that trip, we sort of made the decision, and by we made the decision, I mean Mandy mostly made the decision that we were gonna spend some time apart from each other. And so she went to stay at her brother's place for a while. And so we were living separately, and I was still sort of like, this is going to blow over. I got to train for this race, whatever else. And so the day that I ran that race the first time, I was by myself. And I remember being like, man, I wish Mandy was here, and I wish I knew what was going on. And I wish I understood why everything feels like it's falling apart on me. And I wish I was in better shape, but like, I'm going to go out there and sort of like prove something to myself, and just run myself into a brick wall, which is sort of what I did. And it was like, it was still very exciting because it was my first time ever doing anything like that, like being in that sort of energy and environment, which was very powerful, but it was also very sad. It just had this sort of undertone of like, this isn't supposed to be like this to it. And that was 2018, so 4 years ago. After that race, is when we started getting help. I continued going on to my fitness journey, ended up joining a local CrossFit gym. After running a 10K, somehow I got the crazy idea once I got into CrossFit that triathlons would be fun. So got more into running through the CrossFit gym, got sucked into training for a 50 miler, which is a story for another day. But like the train that started with being invited to that 10K has carried into everything that has happened since then, and everything that will continue to happen. I have a half Ironman this summer that I have to get in shape for. I was in really good shape during the pandemic, and then honestly, every event for a year and a half in a row got canceled, and I think I sort of let myself give up a little at that point, and so I've slipped back a little out of the shape that I would like to be in, but I know I can get there, and I will. So this is all a long story that gets back to why yesterday was significant for me, because between 2018 and where I was at the peak of my own success and lostness, and where I was yesterday, it was a perfect comparison to be there with Mandy in a very healthy place, communicating in very healthy ways, very self-aware of myself, and very aware that like, I knew that I wasn't going to go run like a PR 10K. I know that I'm not in my best shape. I think last year, the year before, I ran like a 40 something, which was good for me. And when I signed up for this race, my goal was to run 45 minutes. And I knew going into yesterday that wasn't going to happen. And so it was like, the goal is just to have fun, which is, I think, a good goal that we don't, maybe if you're like me, you don't give yourself often enough. And it's something I've been trying to do even with this stuff. Like, I could think a lot about how to make this hyper artistic, and maybe I should, maybe I'm not maximizing its impact, but for me, this is fun and something I want to do, and so I'm going to do it. And if you want to go run a 10K, you don't have to win. Like, I don't feel better or worse about myself based on what time that I got yesterday. And that's like a journey in and of itself for me, as I'm someone who's never wanted to do anything that I felt like I was bad at. I didn't want people to like look down at me because I was slow, or I like wasn't good enough at cinematography or anything. And I think it's like, who cares, really? Which again is so simple, but like, it's something I've struggled with my whole life. And that's part of why even the silly little reel I ended up making is both an embodiment of me just doing something for fun, and that song is something that I've been listening to the night before, that it's so simple but so true, of just like, everything that I actually need is so easy and right here, and I'm killing myself to try and get something which may be valuable. Like, obviously I'm not against working hard and going after things, but like, the satisfaction was never on the other side of that. It was always right here, and I just chose not to have it. So within that race, there was a series of things that it's like, okay, we get up to the starting line, we're just having fun, right? Like there's this sense of, so we're going to park, and on our little printout things, it says, oh, you can park at this college, and there's a shuttle, and I knew that wasn't going to be a good time, and I knew where we had parked before, so I was like, we're going to go there. And I think Matt was sort of like, why don't we just go to the shuttle? Which I get. But we end up driving around Holyoke and coming to a police officer at this like dead end. Everything's blocked off. And we were like, I rolled down my window and I'm like, hey, where should we go to park for the race? And I forget exactly what he said, but it was something in the world of wherever you can find a spot. And we just sort of pulled around, and we were all laughing, and we're like, that's the advice of the day. Wherever you can find one, you call the Holyoke police. Hey, I'm bleeding. Where should I go to the hospital? And wherever you can find one. And like, it's a silly little thing, but it's to me a great example of that. Like, life is the stuff that happens between the things you're trying to do, and it's so easy to try and like cut that out and make it more efficient and not waste time and not whatever else. But like, all the memories are those things that you did that went imperfectly or that surprised you. You know, I don't remember all my perfect commutes. I don't remember all my uneventful Christmases with family. You remember the weird stuff, like our power going out during Christmas with family last year. And so it's like, you can be mad about that stuff, or you can see that that's it. Like, this is the stuff to love. And that was like a perfect little beginning of the day for me. And so then, you know, we go in, get our stuff, are just like cheering for people, and there's people in crazy outfits, and I think that ability to just say like, hey, I love your outfit, hey, like, you look awesome, hey, this is really cool, is something that a few years ago I would have been self-conscious about, and now it's like, I really don't care. Like, if someone took the time to dress up, I'm going to take the time to congratulate them on that and to be a cheerleader for them in that. And so at one point, we see these two dudes dressed up as Spider-Man. Matt's a big Spider-Man fan, so I was like, we're definitely taking a picture with these guys. And again, a few years ago, I don't think I would have done that. And now it's like, they're there to have fun. I'm there to have fun. Who am I helping by not taking a picture with them? Really? Like, let's go make this fun for everyone. And I think that's something that really framed the whole day for me, is just like, show up and engage. And it's something that I've been thinking about, actually, even just in the context of social media, as silly as it may sound, is like, I think for a long time I was sort of trying to be very serious and present like, here's my artistic work, and you know, be hyper intellectual in any conversations I got on, and sort of be like, not engage with people. I don't know. Again, it's like the taking a picture of people, and like, oh, I don't know what you think you're getting by not engaging, but I wasn't commenting on a lot of other people's stuff. I wasn't replying to people's stories. And now it's like, they're putting it out there so that someone can engage with it. And it's not my job to affirm everyone's stuff, and they got to deal with their own issues there. But like, I can just show up and say, hey, this is awesome. Hey, you look great. Hey, this is so cool. I just saw today, someone I know, a friend who works at Disney Plus, posted they remodeled their backyard, and it looks super cool. And it's like, just taking a second to say like, hey, that looks like a lot of work, and you're really going to enjoy it, and congratulations. It's a small thing, but it makes a big difference. And when people are out there running the race, you know, coming up behind someone who's starting to walk and just being like, you can do this. And when you're coming by the crowd that's not cheering, sometimes there's people standing on the side of the road, and, you know, there's this a ping pong effect, right? Where it's like, you have not, the audience stopped cheering at some point, so the runners' emotional level sort of came down, and so it's a negative feedback loop, and you can re-spur that. And so for me, it's like, I'll throw up the arms and go, you know, throw out a good woohoo, and now the people watching start cheering for us again, which starts the runners cheering again, and you're reinvigorating that whole cycle. But that's like that ability to start positive cycles wherever you are. is something that you can do all the time. Client meetings, collaboration on set. On set, I go up to people all the time. This is something I've always done, actually. And I will just ask, like, the AC or the gaffer, like, how are you doing right now? And a lot of times I get funny looks from people because they're almost like, why do you care? But it's like, I do. And the minute that you show someone in that situation that you care, they're now more invigorated, feel taken care of, and have an opportunity to then take better care of you back. And so that's where it's like the cheering is reciprocal, and people, you know, there's people on the side of the race who took the time to make trays of Jell-O shots because it's St. Patrick's Day. And that's another thing that in the past I like wouldn't have taken things that were offered to me because somehow it like felt bad to take advantage of generosity almost. And I don't mean take advantage in a selfish way, but just take advantage in, yeah, sure, I'll accept that. Like I couldn't accept a compliment. I couldn't accept a free drink. I couldn't accept anything. And there's something to when you just go like, yeah, I'll take that. Like, and coming up and again, like cheering and screaming and high-fiving people as you take the, you know, beer that they took the time to set up for people, or the Jell-O shots that they made, or, you know, the free headbands. It's like, if everyone doesn't engage with that, this whole thing's just awkward. The point of this is for us all to engage with it. And it's so easy to not, to just sit here and be like, I'm running really hard and I can't take anything from you and I can't cheer for anyone. And the point of this is to be fast. And like, there's a lot of value in being fast. I think that the inspiration of showing people what's possible is incredible. I think about Eliud Kipchoge all the time, especially in the context of something like yesterday. Like, that dude proving what's possible is so valuable. So I'm not downplaying the value of speed and seriousness and training, all of that. But like, if you're not in that moment, if that's not what you're doing, then what are you doing? You know, because I think for most of us in that moment, we're not setting a world record. We're not doing anything that crazy. And it's like, you can try hard and still have fun. Which actually, so back to that idea of inspiration, I was running next to these guys for a little bit, called Team Hoyt. And I honestly don't know their whole story, but they're one of those groups of people. I believe they're a family. They seem to be brothers. I don't know the exact relationship, but they were pushing a few people in these like running wheelchairs, basically. And the two people clearly had some form of disability. I couldn't say what exactly myself. But I've been in a few road races where people are doing stuff like that, and it makes me deeply, deeply emotional every time. And I was just running next to these guys and trying to process, like, why is this so meaningful to me? And I think it's the same reason in some ways that the Kipchoge thing is so meaningful to me. They are choosing to utilize the hard work that they have done to be fit, to take someone somewhere that most people would probably say they don't belong, or that they couldn't go, or they shouldn't go. Like, oh, you have this disability, you're never gonna run a race, obviously. What are you, stupid? Like, just be real. And that ability for someone to step into that and go, oh no, I'm gonna push you or pull you or put you on my back, but one way or another, we're doing this. It's incredible. And I think, to me, like, that's what being a challenger is to me. It's going out there and doing the hard work. But the point isn't to have run a 2-hour marathon for your own sake. It's not to figure out how to run a better creative agency for your own sake. It's not to have run a 45-minute 10K for your own sake. The reason to do any of this hard work is for other people to be able to do things that maybe they currently can't or don't think they can. And sometimes that works through inspiration. Kipchoge shows you this is possible, and you go, maybe I could do that. You know, the guy who did 50 Ironmans in 50 days. It's like, well, if he can do 50, maybe I can do one. And even I think at some level, like how I'm trying to show up online is so people can say like, oh, there's hopefully a different way to do this. But there's also times where you just take someone and run with them. And the other day, I've had people do that to me. I've had people call me up in the last month or two and just like in times that I was struggling really put me on their back and run me to where I needed to go. And I so value that. And I've started getting more opportunities to do that for other people myself. I had this phone call with a friend who's a musician. It was supposed to be a 5-minute call about a video he wanted to do, and it turned into a 3-hour call about his struggle with what he's doing. And it was so cool because in that moment, I got to be that person. You know, he wasn't in a running wheelchair, but I got to be the guy that's like, oh, I've done a lot of this work. And I'm going to save you 3 years of turmoil and fast track you through it. And there's just something really cool about that. And so running next to those guys and watching them be a team and watching them, I don't know, just take people places that it would be easy to say that they should never go is so inspiring to me. And it's really part of what I want to do in the world. So I don't know. I feel like I've already talked about this way longer than anyone will ever listen to it, but, I had so much fun yesterday. I let myself laugh and I let myself cry and I let myself not be taken too seriously and to just show up and to show people what's possible and be a cheerleader for people. And I got to see the fruit of hard work in my fitness, in that my not taking it seriously. I was still like 20 minutes faster than I was last time I did this. And I got to see the fruit of running it with friends this time instead of by myself. And I got to see the fruit of having my wife be there because of all the hard work that we have both put into our relationship. And I got to see people who inspired me on what the next few years of my life are all about in terms of helping people pursue what's possible for them and what currently may seem impossible for them. So my little reel was some attempt to capture that experience just for me. And this is an attempt to, more than anything for myself, to have a record of this to look back on because it's so easy to forget. But we choose whether or not to make things memorable. If I just showed up and just ran the race and put my head down and went home, I wouldn't remember it, to be honest. But between the police officer and the Jell-O shots and at the end of the race, we were there grabbing food from this fry truck, and this guy standing by the side had these like awesome loaded baked potato tater tots. And I was like, "Where did you get those?" And he was like, "You want one?" And I was like, I was just wondering where you got them. And he was like, "Yeah, but do you want one?" And I was like, "Sure." And that's another little example of like, to me, of when I would have just been like, "No, that's okay, man, thanks." But it's like, I don't know who I'm helping by saying no at that point. Like, he's trying to be generous. And now it's a memory for both of us because I remember the guy who gave me one of his tots. And then it immediately became a chance to pay it forward. So we go up, I order the tots. This guy in line behind us goes, "What are those?" And I tell him, and I go, "You want one?" And he did what I would have done, which is staunchly say, no, that's okay. Thanks. Like, no. And that's fine. I don't judge him for that. But it's a lot more fun when you say yes. So the memories are the things that we choose to make by letting ourselves be there. And the memories can be recorded, or they can be in our brain. I think those markers of doing something special that allows yourself to be surprised cements it in your brain. But even something like this, for me, is the ability to go back to it. And there's so many things that I wish over the last few years that I had recorded, because I've forgotten them. And, part of that is just life. But when you have something major, whether it's just writing it and journaling it, or recording it, or finding some way to take a picture of it, I think that's part of why we make any of this stuff to begin with. Like, what's the power of photo and video if not helping people capture moments? So I'm going to cut this rant off, and I don't really know what I'm going to do with this video, but if you've seen it, thanks for watching. Bye.